gentlemen, we were going to hold this at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, but because of rain, we decided to have it here. And for reasons I hope you'll understand, I humbly ask that you allow me to deliver this prepared statement without follow-up questions. Last week I learned that my union, the St. Louis Newspaper Guild, I learned from them that upper management at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch had decided to discharge me for violating the company's ethics policy. On March 27th, I was told by upper management to leave the building, pending an investigation. I have not been allowed access since, not even to gather my own personal belongings or to shake hands with my colleagues and friends I've made over the past nearly 6 years. I called this press conference to bid farewell to my friends at the Post-Dispatch. I called this press conference to bid farewell to my many, many loyal friends and readers. You all have made this journey, this enjoyable but at times difficult journey with me over the years. You've made it tolerable. You've made it worthwhile. Secondly, and most importantly, I'm here to stand up for my name. I'm here to stand up for my name. I'm here to stand up for my family. I'm here to stand up for my kids. I'm here to stand up for my community. I'm not going to use this occasion to debate the ridiculous allegations made against me. We passed out cards with the blog address sylvesterbrownjr.blogspot.com. There you will be able to see the facts related to this battle. You'll be able to keep up with my work, and you'll be able to monitor future developments. In short, to be brief, management alleges that I took a plane trip to Washington, D.C. on March 26th as a gift in return for a column I wrote. The column I wrote and turned in the day before about a renewable energy project in East St. Louis. I'm here to tell you that these charges are a gross distortion of the facts, which in my view have been purposely manipulated to provide cover for far more desperate and nefarious acts within the once proud and honorable institution, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. You see, these are indeed desperate times. And I fully expected the Post-Dispatch to drastically cut budgets. I expected them to cut jobs, to trim budgets. If you knew the number of talented, seasoned journalists who have been marched out of that building these past few years, would break your heart. It speaks volumes about a frantic effort to survive while sacrificing, in my opinion, the integrity and goodwill once enjoyed at the Post-Dispatch. And you know what? I was old enough. I should have known better, but I'm embarrassed to admit it. I did not expect the Post-Dispatch to stoop to this level, even though I knew that they had distaste for me. I did not expect my bosses to jump to an erroneous conclusion and immediately reduce me to nothing more than a stereotype. Upper management, without the common courtesy of an explanation, quickly jumped on a stubborn, punitive path of action and refused to back down even when they had the facts in front of them. If management had bothered to ask me, they would have known that my trip had nothing to do with East St. Louis. If they had taken the time to really know me, to know my past, to know my passions, which I've written about in that paper, my passions inside and outside the Post-Dispatch, they would have known that I've been writing about investing in black youth. I've been writing about creating vibrant, sustainable urban communities. They would have instinctively understood why the Summit Council for World Peace, an international organization dedicated to addressing the crisis of worldwide poverty, invited me to Washington, D.C. They're the ones that trip. Unlike the Post-Dispatch, this agency, the Summit Council for World Peace, this agency, through former Congressman Walter Fauntroy, took interest in a book I'm working on, which calls for a serious realignment of the Black leadership agenda, something else I've written about in the Post-Dispatch, in order to work in accord with President Obama. The book proposes that Obama's initiatives, innovative initiatives, if we really wrapped our hands around this, if we really got to work, if we really stepped up, the Black community can finally create long-lasting change in low-income urban neighborhoods. That's what the book was about. That's why I went to Washington, D.C. I wanted to see an international organization that's involved in this effort. Sadly, management of the Post, in my opinion, they embarked on and furthered a small-minded, predictable, and divisive agenda instead of welcoming this project, respecting their colleague who was calling for immediate action in perilous times. They chose a small-minded path. 5 days after I was locked out of the building, the Guild suggested that management might want to hear my side. So they called a meeting the next day. 11 days after I suspected they were combing through my emails, so they locked my computer, looking for evidence to bolster their ridiculous claim, I heard from the Guild. Although I've been told that management hasn't talked to one person involved with the DC trip, they decided to terminate me. And guess what? The reason they cited for my termination, the union tells me, they didn't think I was remorseful enough. On the same day that the company decided to fire me, I learned through the grapevine that 2 other columnists were given a day's suspension because they allegedly violated the company's ethics policy for working with competing media. The following day, after I heard of my discharge, the union called to share an offer that the Post had made to save my reputation. If I agreed to sign, which I understand requires that I cannot speak, if I agreed to sign an agreement, I would have gotten 4 big fat weeks of severance pay, the opportunity to freelance for the Post-Dispatch, or they came back and said, okay, forget about the freelance, you can write a farewell column. Under this arrangement, management wouldn't leak the reasons for my resignation. Well, Post-Dispatch, I'm here to tell you, no thanks. Just as I did not set out for a plane trip, I do not sell my integrity, my name, or the truth. I will protect my reputation. This community knows my reputation for the last 22 years. You don't know me like my friends know me. You don't know me like my colleagues know me. You don't know me like this little girl, like these girls know me. So let me be clear. I have no reason to be remorseful. The truth counters a need for remorse. I am too stubborn to keep my mouth shut. I am too proud to cast my eyes down. And I'm too damn old to shut. Last week, the Guild's executive committee voted unanimously to use all the necessary resources to arbitrate this case, to get my job back. Right on. All right. Although I humbly appreciate the Guild's efforts, and I want to thank them for their hard fight, I'm asking the Guild to save that fight for another day. Don't fight for me. Fight for the next person that they throw off the ship. I couldn't, in good conscience, ask my union to fight for a job I could never return to. It is clear to me that even though that we have worked together for all these years, upper management has never known what I stand for. supposed trained, talented management who would insinuate that a one-day plane trip where I spent more time in layovers than I did in Washington, D.C. was some sort of payoff for covering an already written story is beyond logic. Believe it or not, Post-Dispatch, I've been on planes before. Sometimes I even flew first class. This was by no means an exotic excursion. But since I'm convinced that such ridiculous logic had little to do with my termination, I'm forced to believe upper management acted on other, far more suspect motivation. Perhaps it has something to do with that hasty meeting that we called after certain folks aligned with Mayor Slade, a member of your Mayor Slade, a member of your community advisory board, issued threats to the newspaper after I wrote about his campaign and his administration's thug-like behavior. Perhaps the real reason you locked me out of the building is to confiscate the emails and letters I've been sending to the executive manager and the managing editor, begging for intervention into what I described as discriminatory, inconsistent, and unnecessarily punitive actions based on one editor's personal, not professional, perceptions of me. Maybe this action is a result of the October 2008 letter I sent to management warning that a newsroom already seriously lacking in diversity at the top and at the bottom could ill afford to continuously mute the most visible and consistent black voice in its employ. Maybe this action is a result of a hard-headed columnist who asks too many questions, who question the rules and the policies, who always ask, why are these rules and policies just drafted and enforced on me? See, I suspect that this press conference is going to send management scurrying around to bolster their weak allegations. Be careful, Post-Dispatch. My attorneys and the Guild are well aware of your stated reasons for my termination, and they are well aware of our tenuous relationship these past few years. As far as I'm concerned, in your gleeful attempt to rid yourself of a payroll expense and a confrontational columnist, you've already defamed enough good people. Be careful, Post-Dispatch. In closing, I want to thank the Post-Dispatch readers. I want to thank all of you. I will always value what we share. Yes, our conversations were sometimes warm, sometimes controversial, and sometimes contentious, but that's what families do. We have these spicy, emotional debates. I also want to thank my wonderful, talented colleagues, my friend and my mentor, Bill McKellar. My buddies, Aisha Sultan, Deb Peterson, Carolyn Tuff, Steve Gendrich, Doug Moore, Tim O'Neill, Chris Gooden, and there's so many others I know I'm forgetting, but I want to thank them all. Also, I'm also going to miss, most of all, the streetwise banter I had with Keith and Jeff and Kim, the security team that I talk to every morning. I'm going to miss you guys. Finally, I ask that no one, please, no one feel sorry for me. So many folks in my industry have lost their jobs here and across the country. Now I'm just among them. You see, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have a wife. I'm blessed to have children, family and friends who value dignity over security, pride over profit, fortitude over fame, and truth over personal rewards. If you're going to feel sorry for this community. This community has lost in the pages of the Post-Dispatch what I believe is a valuable and much-needed voice that constantly urged St. Louis to rise above its ingrained, petty, racial, and demographic divisions and explore the wonderful possibilities and potential of this diverse populace.
Amen. All right.
if you will, feel sorry for my hard-working colleagues who have to continue fighting despite upper management who are, in my view, so desperate to save their salaries and their skin that they will stoop to destroying careers. You see, I walk away confident. I walk away knowing that I did my dead level best to live up to the words mounted on that marble wall in the company's foyer. Those words by Joseph Callister that says, always fight for progress and reform. Never leave sympathy with the poor. Never lack sympathy with the poor. Always remain devoted to the public welfare. Never be afraid to attack wrong. Right. My friends, I leave this job with a positive vision toward the future. My shoulders are girded and my head is held high, knowing that I lived up to Mr. Callister's name, his name and his words. Further, I want you to know I am more committed today to the issues I have championed all these years. I am more convinced than ever that the charge of journalism is that check and balance fourth branch of government. I'm not going away. My voice will still be heard. But I insist that even in an age of spin, truth still matters. But sadly, I believe the Post-Dispatch management can't make the same claim.